Just trying to open up the chat manager on my phone so I can see everything that's going on. Stream manager? Yeah, okay. There we go. Just wait for a couple people to show up, if at all. Excuse me. Excuse me. Gracious. Just gonna post on my Twitter because I gotta remember to do that now. Let me see. Just do it from my computer. Doity. Oh, I didn't realize that people are actually watching. Uh, Thank you for coming. I'm assuming these are actual profiles. I'm still very new to this, so you'll have to forgive me. I'm just waiting a little bit to see if people actually show up. Probably waited a couple extra minutes just to see. I was planning on starting at noon anyway, so kind of goes in line with what I was planning for. Oh, excuse me. But if you are here and you're actually a person and not a bot, I hope you are having a good day. And if you're not, then I hope it gets better. And I hope the audio is set up fine, and I know the footage is fine. It's probably going to stutter a little bit at times, but that's just because my computer isn't the best, and this is like very low spec. Like I'm absolutely like I've got all the in-game settings set to the lowest possible. I have it on a reduced resolution, and I'm just trying to make the best of it because I'm very impatient and I want to do something with myself aside from, you know, like personal stuff. This is something that I've always wanted to do for quite a while, so I'm really happy to be getting into the swing of it. I think I'll start in like one more minute. Everybody can hear the audio just fine though. That's the thing I'm the most concerned about, because I know my mic kind of picks up a little bit of interference here and there. If anybody's typing in the chat, I haven't seen it yet, but I'll keep that open on mobile just to keep an eye on it. Alright, I think I'll get started. I'll just set my phone to the side here. Alright, so today I'm streaming a little bit of Genshin Impact. This is kind of the first game that I wanted to stream just as a general thing. I'm not going to make myself out to be a Genshin Impact streamer. I might be. If this goes well enough, I might consider that. There are quite a few games I want to stream with my, you know, limited options based on the computer that I have, but Genshin Impact I think is probably the best way to go for a first game, and it'll kind of let me talk about, you know, I want to talk about my experiences with the game and covering some of the notions that people might have about it, because this is a gacha game, so like people don't like it based on that, but I do want to say a few things in regards to that. But more than anything, I'm just kind of using this as a opportunity to present the game for those who might be interested in it. The game is completely free to play. You don't have to pay for anything. And honestly, I'll get into it more, but I will talk more about, like, yeah, this game is a lot better when you play free to play. Like I said, I'll explain more about that as time goes on, but I'm just going to get started. You'll have to forgive me if I'm a little bit snuffly. I've got a little bit of reflux going on, unfortunately, because I'm a fat man. Oh, the intro cutscene has Japanese audio. Never actually heard it with the Japanese subtitles. I mean, not subtitles, audio. It looks like it's a little bit choppy. You're gonna have to forgive me for that. I don't know why it's doing this. It might just be the beginning cutscene. At any rate, you can look it up on YouTube, and I hate for this to be the way this starts, but kind of the unfortunate side effect of having to limit my options. Oh. Yeah, this is bad. Sorry. I'll give more context after the fact. But now, okay, so these two twins are named Aether and Lumine, and they are a couple of like interdimensional travelers, and in their travels they get stopped upon by this nameless goddess. I don't think she has an actual established name yet, but because the rest of the cutscene probably isn't going to play out as intended. She kidnaps the twin that you don't pick, and then the twin that you do pick. The story basically involves you trying to discover where she got sent off to. So I think canonically, like, Aether is meant to be the player character. In all of my files that I've played so far, I've always played as Aether. So I'm just going to go ahead and pick him instead. Personally, I like his design better too, so that kind of helps out. Oh, and it's not going to play the rest of the cutscene. Alright. Kind of expected that at this point. I don't know if there's anything I can really do about that or not. God, I really hope that the rest of the stream is going to pan out appropriately. But yeah, like I said, the entire cutscene is up on it's up on YouTube, I'm sure. If you want to go view it for yourself. I'm sorry that, like I said, I'm sorry that the stream isn't cooperating. But I'm fairly confident it's just going to be for this one. For some reason, this one is more intensive than the rest of the cutscenes in the game, as far as I know, as far as I'm familiar with. こうして見知らぬ神が俺の妹ホタルを連れ去っていった。そして俺も神に封印され、本来の力を失うことになる。あまたの世界を乗り越えてきた俺たちはここで囚われの身となった。Oh, that's a lot better. Okay. So, right after Aether gets banished to this world, he meets this little baby child named Paimon, who... her origins aren't explained very well, but she's basically your Navi. She's a cute little bugger. I also just want to say, for context, like, I don't really give much of a shit about, like, subs versus dubs or anything like that, like Japanese audio as opposed to English audio. I just don't care for the English audio in this game whatsoever. It's not terrible, but it's not the best either. So, alright, so I'm going to go through a bit of this just to explain like how the game works, and then I'll probably make more time in order to explain, you know, my personal experiences with it. I was kind of hoping to get into that sooner, but whatever. Sorry. So we're off in the starting area, and like everything's simple. To attack, it's just like you got your left click, and then you can hold it for a strong attack, and you can dash with the right mouse button, and that's pretty cool. Press B to open your inventory. I will say that I just collected a couple things just now, so like this crab. If you can find it within you, collect everything. Like, I think that's one of the most important things, especially for early game. I cannot understate the importance of collecting everything that you happen upon. Some things like animals like this newt here, you can only, you have to chase them down, basically. I'm just going to open the map real quick to show what that's all about. So, when people talk about this game, the most obvious comparison is Breath of the Wild. It borrows a lot of game mechanics from that, and one in particular is the usage of these waypoints. So these waypoints, you activate them throughout the world, and you can teleport to them, and it basically operates the same as towers within Breath of the Wild, minus the fact that you don't have to scale some crazy high tower with an obstacle course established on it. So we're just going to follow Paimon for a bit. There's also climbing that works very much the same as Breath of the Wild. You can see the stamina bar that showed up. Stamina bar also shows up when I'm dashing. We don't have a lot of stamina right now. I will go over eventually how to expand that bar. There's like a whole collectathon thing in this game too. But yeah, like when you're walking throughout the world, you can find like food scattered on the ground, and if you sometimes see wildlife, you can like kill it and get its resources. There's like a whole cooking system in this game too that's not unlike Breath of the Wild. But yeah, that's basically the gist of it. You're gonna have to forgive me if I'm losing my focus for a second. I just kind of want to check and see how the stream is running. Oh, and I just broke my own advice by walking right past that mint plant. I think in my other files I have more mint plants that I know what to do with. I'm playing this game on like the lowest settings possible, but I still think this game is absolutely breathtaking when you can play it in like a higher resolution with better graphics settings. I did originally play this on the PS4, but the console versions have like really, really crappy optimization. Like they perform really badly, which is interesting because this game was actually made for mobile. I probably shouldn't be talking over these dialogues. Alright, so we're going to head to this statue coming up next. We're in the prologue. This game actually does have an overarching story, and more is being added with each update. Even in the context of like sub-stories, there's a main quest that obviously contingent upon finding your twin. So Trevat is the world that you're in, and is kind of governed by all these gods, and like each region is based off of like a certain god and like a certain element. So we're in Mondstadt right now, and this is the region that's based off of the Amino Archon, which is what they refer to the gods as their archons. And Amino is basically your wind element. Like it's straight up just wind, and we'll get to cover that in just a second. Swimming also exists in this game too. Not everything really to write home about. You get the wet status when you go in water. That's pretty neat. There's a lot to cover in this game, so I'm going to try and do it in the best way I know how, which might just be rambling like a lunatic. Who knows, maybe I'll take this footage and like condense it down for YouTube and try to make a guide out of it. But hopefully people will swing by. Alright, so you can see I've activated this first major statue. It lit up a big portion of the map. You got all these waypoints. Here, and here, and here. I've activated this one. This is like the starting area that we were at. I can click on that and teleport back to it, but we're not going to do that right now. Obviously. Anemo. Did I say Amino? Amino feels like it's an app, isn't it? If people really want, I can switch the audio to English if that makes it easier to understand. With Japanese, it lets me to more easily talk over it. See, Mondstadt is the city of wind because they worship the god of Anemo. So, touching that statue gave me powers from the god, and that'll get us into our more extended combat. So, as I showed earlier, there are melee attacks, but each character is kind of defined by their elemental skills and bursts. So your E is your basic elemental skill. For Aether and a Nemo form, it's just like this palm vortex, which is really kind of cool. You can either press it, and well, there's a cooldown on it, unfortunately. But for a lot of these, you can either press it for one version, so yeah, that's like a quick blast. I think it might even have less cooldown. And for the charge version, you can hold the E button down, and that creates a stronger vortex. And, okay, so beside the elemental skill, though, every character also has their own elemental burst. So, like, you can see, when you attack enemies with your elemental skills, there's these little particles that come up from the ground where they were, and it builds that meter of elemental burst. So Aether's elemental burst is just this whirlwind slash. It's kind of neat. the main thing about Anemo, I did say right, Anemo. The main thing about the wind element is that it has a property called swirl. This game operates very heavily under the idea that like elements react differently to each other, and I think there's like 6 or 7 elements in the game. I'll go over those in a second. I just got to check all this crap. There are in-game events that go on. This is like the last day of the Zhao Lantern Rite event. Oh, I got a Wings of Companionship. Ain't that neat? And I got all this shit too. Let's just slap that on. What's his name? Aether. Oh, I can't do that yet. So leveling up in this game is kind of unique. So each character has like their own. I can only level up to level 20 right now. Okay, so like in order to level up, you get these books throughout the game, mostly by beating certain challenges and bosses and that sort of thing, but you also get them through quests and story quests. But you like pick a book. They're all of different values. This is like lowest, medium, highest. You add how many you want to add, and then it'll increase your level by a certain amount. And then when you level up to the max level, you get the ability to ascend. It's like these are the materials that you need in order to ascend this character to, I think it grows up to level 40 at that point. But you can't do that until level 20. What Ascension does is it basically boosts your stats and gives you more like properties to your character. So like Aether is kind of standard, but like he's got his talents here. He's got his normal melee attack. He's got the Palm Vortex. He's got the Gust Surge. When we hit Ascension Phase 1, we get this passive that it's a Slitting Wind. The last hit of a normal attack combo unleashes a Wind Blade, dealing 60% of attack as Anemo damage to all opponents in its path. And then Second Wind, which comes at Phase 4, which is Palm Vortex kills regenerate 2% HP for 5 seconds. So like the more you ascend your character, the more passives you get. And even when you ascend your character, you're able to level these up individually. I think you do need certain materials for each of these that you get through different means. But I'll go more into that later. As I will go into many things later, because it's just, there's a lot to take in. Oh, I didn't realize there was a different event going on. Anyway, I'm just gonna clear all these notifications, maybe. Whatever. It's not that important. Alright, so, showing all that off. But yeah, like the combat in this game is very heavily focused on the combining different elements and triggering different elemental reactions. So like I said, Swirl is like, it kind of gathers up the element nearby. So you can see like when I use my Palm Vortex, it's shifted from green to blue. That's because I'm near a body of water. The same applies for like different, like if you have another character and cast a certain element, if it has a lingering effect, you can use Swirl, and it kind of creates this AoE sort of like elemental base attack. Another cool thing about Anemo, just in this area, is that you can see these dandelion puffs, and you can just get seeds out of that. Oh, and there's a dragon. Sprinting kind of takes up a lot of stamina early on. Yeah, like I know I had to reduce the performance by a fair amount just to make the game run appropriately without chugging too bad, but like this game is not intensive at all. If you're playing it normally, I had to reduce it just for the sake of streaming. But like, man, even on mobile, it's beautiful. That's my own personal opinion. I'm not in love with all the character designs, but I really am in love with like the art style and the way that they use, like, I guess, I don't know if it's cell shading or not. I'm not an expert on any of this, but I'm just gonna shut up for this cutscene real quick because this is kind of like the introduction to this particular arc. Alright, so I'm hoping the cutscenes play well on the stream. I'll just kind of like take a look at my channel. I've got it pulled up on my phone just to make sure that like it's running appropriately. Yeah, it looks fine. Okay, anyway, sorry, I'm like really super paranoid about that and just having the game look nice. So, okay, so that's like, we'll get into it more obviously, but like each major area of the game has like its own condensed arc that you go through, solving people's problems, etc., meeting different characters. Actually, throughout this first major act, we do end up recruiting 3 other characters. There's one we're going to meet like very soon, and those are like the only 3 characters that you get. There are 2 more. Sorry, I gotta advance the plot. There are 2 more that you unlock as time goes on, but I'll cover those as you get them, because we're not going to get them for a while. There's like Adventure Rank, which is like your basic level, and I'm only at level 2. You unlock those characters at like level 18, I think, after you beat the first major arc, and then at level 20 you have to like do this challenge dungeon. And but I'll talk about that more, obviously. There's a lot of shit to cover. Yep, see, our adventure rank just got boosted up to 3. So the adventure rank is, you get rewards for advancing your adventure rank. The place that you get the rewards from we haven't unlocked yet. But it basically amounts to like in-game collectibles and ways to advance your character, etc. And yeah, it's neat. Later on, it takes a longer time to build those levels up, but it pays off, in my opinion. Alright, so this is Amber. This is our first recruitable character. We don't really have to do anything special for her. We just kind of have to play out the cutscene. You know what, I might actually change the audio to English. I know nobody's really here to commentate on that, but Might just be easier to understand for the sake of the game. You got the subtitles there, obviously, and I think that's probably fine, but if you guys feel really strongly about it, let me know and I'll change things up. I don't really mind.
でも安心して任務を行いながらでもあんたそれに怪しいものを放っておくわけにもいかないかごめん優秀な騎士にあるまじき言動だったね謝るよ見知らぬその尊敬できる旅人さんぎこちない騎士団ガイドで決められた言葉に不満でもあるの
And we got Amber. So Amber, contrary to, oh yeah, you cycle through your characters with the numbers, obviously. So Amber is a pyro character, and she uses her bow for long-range combat. You can press the R button, the R key to switch to a fixed aiming mode. You can move around, and you just press left click to fire, and yeah, and you gotta press R to escape it again. Otherwise, you could just like charge it manually by holding the button, holding left click, and then letting go. Either way is fine. You also got your quick like ba combo. There are. Oh. Sorry, I'm talking over everything. I don't know if this is enjoyable to watch. You can unlock more weapons throughout the game. Unlike Breath of the Wild, these weapons do not break, which I think is probably one of the ways that this... I'll just come out and say it. I think Genshin Impact is, for me, a better game than Breath of the Wild, and that's probably a really ballsy claim because people are like, oh, it's a gacha game, so it's from the depths of hell. But, like, it does a lot to improve on the Breath of the Wild formula, and it's free, so like you don't really have to worry too much about that. So like you got your sword here. This is a sword I collected for opening that chest. There are a lot of chests in the game. Each weapon has its own level, very much like the characters. Like this weapon could upgrade to level 20. So if I click enhance, you can go into your inventory and you can pick. You got these enhancement crystals by doing stuff, and you got weapons of a lower level. Or like I think you can even pick ones from a higher level, but the basic idea is that if you pick a weapon, it'll show you how many levels it's going to level up and how much its base attributes or even passives are going to level up in correspondence to that. I'm not going to upgrade this now because this is a very like early game weapon. There's really no point in that. There are a variety of weapons in this game, though. Like, Aether is a sword character, and Amber is a bow character. But there are also claymores, catalysts, and pikes, like bow staffs and spears and that sort of thing. I think the term they use is pikes. But Amber is, I think, and a lot of people agree, probably the worst character in the game. I just want to say outright, like, there are tier lists for this game, and it really doesn't matter too much who you use. The tier lists are more for like end-game content. But Amber is kind of far and away, maybe just like the most underwhelming character. So you got your bow, and you can charge your shots, and when you've charged it all the way, it gains the pyro property, which is just like a fire thing, and that's neat. You could like just fire regularly, just take out this enemy. Headshots do more damage. That's worth noting. But her elemental skill is the Baron Bunny, which you can, if you hold the button, summons this little stuffed animal like monster of her, and you can toss it, and it acts as like an aggro for enemies. So like they'll focus on that, and after a while it'll explode. I think one of the passives you can get later on. Let's see, like it's weird because you can blow it up later on, but you can only do that by shooting the foot. And I mean, if you just press the E button, it'll spawn right in place, but like, you can switch to other characters and take these guys out.